Welcome to Bitcoin Basics with your hosts Faris and Gordon. Visit bitcoinbasics.help if you need help buying and securing your Bitcoin. We have a brand new podcast. Visit myprivacy.help to subscribe. Did you know you can completely control your personal information without relying on a third party? Faris, Gordon, and industry experts explain how you can reclaim control of your data, your privacy, your life. Visit myprivacy.help.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bitcoin Basics Podcast. Time of recording is the 21st of June, 2023. The price of Bitcoin is 28,400, is moving up as I speak. The block height is 795,254. And how many Satoshis will the dollar get you? That will get you 3,519. Gordon, how you doing?
Good, mate. I noticed the big smile when you mentioned the Bitcoin price, so I might have to have a look into that after we stop this recording. Yeah, I'm good. We interviewed Rob Clarkson from Laser Eye. I should probably get that right before I actually mention it.
Well, both cards, and they have the Laser Eye card option, which is something that I ran into Rob at Bitcoin Alive in Sydney, and he was showing people these cards that light up, these red because we had laser eyes on Twitter, so we've got Laser Eye cards. So these eyes on these cards light up when you process a transaction. So it's really cool. It's a lightning card. He explains it, and then you can get these cards designed, and then you can get these Laser Eye bulk cards. It's quite cool. It's not just a gimmick; they actually do work as proper lightning cards.
Yeah, it's super cool, and we're privileged to be able to interview all these people, Faris, that are doing some amazing stuff in the Bitcoin space. And we talk about Bitcoin being slow and boring and whatnot, but there is so much happening. Yes, it's maybe happening in that layer 2 Lightning sort of network, but yeah, it's super exciting. Bitcoin adoption is slowly moving ahead, maybe not as fast as some people wanted to, but yeah, people like Rob and those kind of projects bring Bitcoin to the masses. And he tells a story of, merchants who are paying ridiculous fees. So it's a no-brainer, but the powers that be and these corporations don't want us to have our own control over our own money and be able to save on fees. So there's a massive friction, but yeah, another exciting project that we need to keep up with.
If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, and share so we can find others like yourself.
So what we do is we just have a chat, and then at the end of the show, me and Gordon would actually do a proper intro and just talk about, and we'll get you to show yourself towards the end. But yeah, just conversation.
Not in that way.
We'll get into it.
What do you mean show yourself? What are you talking about? This is not OnlyFans. Come on.
That's staying in the podcast. Hashtag OnlyFans.
All right, this is the beginning. Go for it.
Okay. Rob, thank you very much for joining us. I think for the first time in I don't know how long, you're probably in a place that's colder than where I am.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit frosty on the ground these mornings. We're looking forward to a bit of snow, but there's not been too much yet, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, so just for our audience, now you are based in Queenstown, New Zealand, but from the sound of your accent, people presume I'm from New Zealand. Or tell us who you are, where you're from, your Bitcoin origin story.
Yeah, so my name's Rob, and obviously I'm originally from the UK. I decided a few years ago that I had to go and see a bit more of the world, so I came over to Australia, and then I came over to New Zealand, and that was in 2008, and I got to Queenstown, and I thought, this place is nice, I'll stay here for a bit. And then 15 years later, here I am. And then, in that time, I was lucky enough to stumble across Bitcoin for the first time, seeing a friend on Facebook saying he'd bought his first Bitcoin. And I thought, wow, what's a Bitcoin? So I looked into it. I had a bit of a cursory looked a bit kind of Wild West-ish and cowboyish. And I thought, I'll leave it for now. And then discovered it again kind of 6 months later. I can't remember why. And I thought, okay, it's still here and it looks like it's bigger and there's more going on. And fortunately, I had a look at the white paper, and I didn't understand it all, but I understood enough to know that it was very significant. It was unlike anything that had ever been around before, and it grabbed my attention like nothing else has. I think my computer science background helped me understand how significant an advancement it was. And then since then, I went down the rabbit hole and listened to all the podcasts that I could. Andreas Antonopoulos was a big influence for me. He suggested, instead of trying to tell people about Bitcoin, try giving them some. So I did that. I started doing that, and I went and handed out, $5 worth of Bitcoin left, right, and center to anybody who'd listened to me, and that was quite funny because when you give people Bitcoin a while ago and then they come back, it's quite cool to kind of have a great, hey Rob, that Bitcoin you gave me, blah blah blah. You have those kind of conversations. So it's quite cool. And then I think I kind of came to the same conclusion that you guys did. I thought, right, what do we need to do here? We need to help educate people, help people understand Bitcoin, because obviously not everybody has a computer science background. And honestly, I don't know if it's the best thing to have as a background, because there's quite a lot of people with a computer science background who don't take Bitcoin seriously at all. So it does make me wonder sometimes, what is it about people who kind of get Bitcoin? Is it a curiosity thing or an openness thing? Or I don't know. But I decided that, I should start teaching people Bitcoin. So I just do small classes in Queenstown, small groups of like 12 to 15 kind of thing. And we go over all the fundamentals, like basically what it is, how to use it, how it works, high level, Lightning Network, how the Lightning Network works, high level, mining, and then hardware wallets, or storing it safely. And so I feel that's quite a good holistic sort of overview. And since then, been a kind of an explosion of kind of community meeting, I feel. Maybe in New Zealand, maybe around the world. But I got in touch with lots of the New Zealand community through Telegram, and that was good. And I feel there's a real groundswell of people trying to now do things to help facilitate Bitcoin, which is great. And I'm trying to help out with that as much as I can, encourage merchants to accept Bitcoin. And I also do some development on the open source bulk card standard as well. So just doing what I can, I guess, with the skills I have.
Wow. So workshops where you learn about Bitcoin and how to buy it and keep it safe. Hey, Gordon, how come we never thought of that?
No idea, Ferris. Wow,
sorry, Rob, inside joke. We've been trying to run those workshops ourselves. So, sorry, go ahead, Gord.
I was going to say, learnbitcoin.nz. Is that still active running? Do you still run workshops?
Yeah, so it was a lot easier a while back when the price was going up. I feel people take more interest in it then. It was very easy to get a class together, and I've advertised quite a few classes while we've been in the bear market, and it's much harder to get people interested. But I'm doing another push to try and see if I can get the courses rolling again. So hopefully, I mean, it's a small market, Queenstown, so at least that's what I tell myself. So yeah, hopefully it gets going again soon.
We've had a similar experience. We've had a few workshops for us, but we certainly noticed then when it's in a bear market or when Bitcoin's doing nothing and flat, not a lot of interest. But without any price predictions, I think that's going to change pretty soon, if not now. So it's interesting, Rob. You sort of come from a computer science background. Was the technology what sort of got you into Bitcoin, or was it more the philosophy, economics? Why, and why Bitcoin? Why not Dogecoin?
Well, I did take an interest in other cryptocurrencies as well. But I always felt there was not a lot of substance to them. So from my gut feeling, there was always more to Bitcoin. And I think, it's like I say, it grabbed me. The other ones, I guess everybody goes through a similar stage with the other cryptocurrencies. You kind of go, all right, this is primarily just a kind of this is going to go up in value kind of thing, rather than actually something technical or something important that we're doing behind the scenes. And so, kind of eventually came to the same conclusion that everybody else does, that, Bitcoin's the one that's sort of doing the useful things here. Does that answer your question?
No, that's so good. There's no right or wrong answer, but you gave the right answer. No, that's so good. So, what you're doing, okay, so let's get into it. You have a card, and I want you to go through sort of a high level sort of stuff. But someone listening to this may have some Bitcoin. They may have Bitcoin on a hardware wallet. Why on earth would they want to spend their hard-earned Bitcoin buying stuff on a card?
Yeah, that's so. I presume you mean the bulk card in particular. So I feel like I actually forgot to mention these guys. So I'm also a director in a company called Laserized Cards, and we produce the bulk card. I work with a team of guys, Chris, Simon, Peter, and James in the UK, and we work together to produce these cards that have LEDs in them. And so when you tap them, they light up, and it's that laserized meme. But so the question was, why should you spend your Bitcoin rather than just hodl them? And I feel like hodling makes perfect sense, because you've got the hardest money known to man. It's like the best money we've ever had. So you certainly wouldn't want to spend it. You'd want to spend your dollars first. But Chris, my partner from Laserized Cards, says if you have the chance to spend Bitcoin and you spend dollars instead, what you're doing is you're perpetuating the dollar. You're not perpetuating Bitcoin. So if you want to see a Bitcoin future, then you have to use Bitcoin. And unfortunately, it means that, yes, you're spending the hardest money known to man, but the idea is that you spend and replace. And so instead of hodl, I think I've seen Nathan Day, who does the btcmap.org website, he says SPEDN, I think is the abbreviation he had, which is basically to spend and replace. So you should spend your Bitcoin when you can with other Bitcoiners who accept it, and then you should replace it. Ideally, buy more when you replace it than you spend, so you're technically still hodling as well, would be my answer to that one.
So the laser eye cards, is it actually a debit credit card? What is it, the card itself? What does it do?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it's different from a Visa or a MasterCard, the typical cards you can find, because those ones, what you typically do is you load them up with, or you load your account up with some Bitcoin, and then when you spend it, it exchanges your dollars to Bitcoin, exchanges your Bitcoin to dollars, and then spends the dollars at the merchant. And the laserized card or the bulk card is different, because it actually authenticates a Lightning payment from your Lightning node to the merchant's Lightning terminal or Lightning POS. And so it's compatible with sort of Breeze and Vault Pay and loads of others that are listed on the bulk card, PTC Pay Server and loads of others. So it's only compatible with merchants who accept Lightning payments at point of sale and have an NFC-enabled reader or a bulk card enabled point of sale, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And with the merchants, like, where are you finding that merchants are receptive to set it up? How is New Zealand? Are you you mentioned your partners in the UK. What's the culture like?
Yeah, so it's in the UK, they're quite lucky. They have an exchange called Coin Corner, and these guys, Coin Corner, actually came up with the original concept for the bulk card, and they provide a bulk card service as part of their exchange, and it still works on the Lightning rails, which is good. So it's much easier for the guys in the UK who I work with. Some of them are part of the Bridge to Bitcoin group, and I don't know if you've heard about them, but basically they're helping to facilitate merchant adoption on a volunteer basis in the UK by going to merchants and saying, hey, have you thought about accepting Bitcoin? And then if the merchant's not receptive to actually accepting and holding Bitcoin, then they have this option of Coin Corner where they can accept Bitcoin at point of sale. And what the Coin Corner exchange does is they exchange that £2 at the point they get paid, and therefore they don't actually have to go near the Bitcoin. So it's like you're able to accept Bitcoin, and then receive pounds sterling in your bank account. And I think it's their last backstop to basically help onboard merchants to Bitcoin. So because obviously selling Bitcoin, as you know, it's a real hard sell. The merchant has to be essentially orange pilled to understand why accepting Bitcoins and holding Bitcoins useful, important because of all the extra hoops that you have to go through with the accounting and the tax and all that kind of carry on. So with this Coin Corner service, which we obviously can't get in New Zealand, it's quite good because the merchant can accept Bitcoin and then it's converted into pounds sterling at point of sale. So if they dial up £10 on the terminal, it charges the amount in sats, and then as soon as they pay, the merchant's guaranteed that £10 minus whatever the merchant the exchange fees are with Coin Corner, if that makes sense.
And these cards, you guys just sell them. Is that basically how your business runs a profit? You just sell the cards. You're not making any commissions, any spreads, anything like that?
So the cards we sell are they can be connected to either Coin Corner service, or they can be connected to your own Lightning node. So the cards are programmable. They're basically blank when we sell them, and so you receive them, and then you can use an app to connect them to a service that will pay. So it can be entirely self-custodial. So you can run your own node. You can set up your own bulk card service, which is essentially like a server that runs. And when you tap the card has the URL of your bulk card service on it. And then the merchant's point of sale sends a request to your bulk card service requesting the amount that you've tapped. There's two special values on the card that when you tap that are encrypted, so that your server knows that it was your card that was definitely tapped, and then your service pays the merchant's point of sale invoice. It's a bit convoluted, I know. Hope that made sense.
No, you've explained that well. Yeah.
Just zooming out a little bit. So is there, well, maybe I'll rephrase it this way. Outside of the UK, is there a way for someone to use the bulk card or your card without a Lightning node?
So, yes, if you have an Uncle Jim who's happy to run a bulk card service for you and you trust them, you could potentially custody your sats with them. And then when you tap your card, it would be your friend's Lightning node that's making a payment for you. So you could do a community model. Outside of the UK, is there any kind of service that you can do? So, well, we built an app called the Bulk Card Wallet. And so the Bulk Card Wallet is an app that you can download on the Play Store. It currently only works for Android at the moment, unfortunately, because those are the only phones that can program the cards right now, although we're currently working on iOS card programming right now. So I'm hoping that's going to be ready in the next month or so, but don't hold me to it. And so using the Bulk Card Wallet, you can connect that to a Bulk Card Wallet hub, which connects to a Lightning node that pays the invoice. So the options are you could use Coin Corner service if you're able to use Coin Corner. They only operate in certain countries, and that would be a custodial KYC service that you'd use there. Or you run your own Lightning node, or somebody who you trust runs a Lightning node and is happy to run that service for you. So those are the ways that you can use the bulk card currently.
Okay, and this bulk card service, which bulk card hub, what is that?
So the bulk card hub is basically an intermediary between the Lightning node and then the merchant's terminal. So when you tap the card on the merchant's terminal talks to your hub with the details from the bulk card, and it checks that they're correct. And if they are, the merchant's terminal is then allowed to send the Lightning invoice through, which you then pay. So it's basically the bulk card service has to be running on a server somewhere for the card to work. So it can't work without this background service somewhere.
How long did it take you guys to set up this infrastructure?
Well, so it's quite interesting. When I was back in the UK last year, and I met Chris at Bridge to Bitcoin and Peter Rounce, and they were both working together on sort of merchant sort of onboarding and the programming. And Peter had already written the bulk card service because he'd seen that originally Coin Corner came up with the concept, but it was closed source and it was KYC and Coin Corner only. And so he wrote the same bulk card service, but in an open source manner so that anybody could run it. So the service was already there. And so I didn't have to write that. And so I built what we did on top of that. And that took us probably about a month to write the hub and get the Bolt Card wallet app running as well. Yeah.
Wow. Sorry, for a newbie who's listening to something in like years, but it took you guys a month. This is obviously my level of technical expertise, because what you've just described, thinking like, building the internet. But sorry, while we're on the conversation, where can people go to buy a Bolt Card? Just what's the link?
Yeah, so the laser eyes cards, if you want a pretty cool one with the flashy laser eyes, that's lasereyes.cards. If you want just a regular Bolt Card with a nice design on it, you can buy them from Coin Corner. So you go to Coin Corner's website and you can buy a blank Bolt Card from there. You can get blank ones much cheaper from the manufacturer, and there's a few links. If you go to boltcard.org, there's links to different places that you can buy blank Bolt Cards from. So if you get the blank ones, obviously you can put your own design on them. Say you ran a pub and that accepts Bitcoin, you might be keen to sell Bolt Cards that have your kind of your pub logo on and that kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's recommended that people have multiple Bitcoin wallets. Is it the same thing with these cards, or can you always just change the Lightning address channel in the card itself? Should you have multiple cards, or is just one enough and you can change the destination recipient address on that card?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the cards connect to the service. So let's say, you might run the Lightning node for your family potentially, and so members of your family might have a card each, and then they could also have separate balances on the hub, and their card would relate to that balance on the hub. So it's really you don't need more than one card, but let's say you had two Lightning nodes, you might have two services, and then you might have two cards. That would be a good reason to have two cards, other than you being the Uncle Jim for a community of people who use them. There's if you look on Twitter, the Bitcoin Beach Brazil guys, they are setting up Bolt Cards for children in their schools, so all the children buy their fruit and veggies and stuff at break time using the Bolt Card. And they've got videos on Twitter that you can see the school kids there using them. So it's pretty cool to see that. So that's another way of doing it.
Basically, I'm a tech guy as well. I'm trying to, in my head, sort of look at the infrastructure and whatever like that. Before I get there, how does this interoperate, or does it with, say, BTC Pay or other Bitcoin sort of point of sale stuff?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the point of sale terminal must have an NFC reader on it, and then the app running must be able to accept the Bolt Card. And it's not actually that hard from a merchant POS developer point of view to enable the Bolt Card. You just have to read the NFC. And then the NFC card returns you a URL with two parameters on it. And then you're following the LN URL spec. So you basically do a request to that endpoint. So there's devices you can get. So there's a few companies who sell essentially Android mobile phones dressed up as POSes, and they have thermal printers and they have NFC readers on them. And so any of the apps that you install that support the Bolt Card will work on that. And it works quite nicely because the batteries in those POS terminals last a long time, and it's much easier than getting your phone out of your pocket. Of course, it's compatible with any phones with an NFC reader. So the good thing about it is a merchant just with a phone doesn't need to pay for any special equipment. They can just install the POS app on their phone, load it up, you can tap your card next to their phone, bang, that's all you need. So it's... Yeah,
so, Rob... For non-tech people, NFC is what?
Sorry, yeah, it stands for Near Field Communication. But really all it is it's the same as Tap and Go or PayWave. It's exactly the same as that. So you just wave the card near the reader, ping, that's it, payment's made.
Okay. We're seeing a lot of fees being passed on to consumers for using the Tap and Go services. Is that you have that issue with the Bolt Cards?
No, that's the great thing about it. So because all it does is initiate a Lightning payment, There's no additional fees for using your Bolt card. So it's really cool in that respect. You can have tap and go with the Lightning Network with zero additional fees, other than obviously the Lightning payment itself.
Well, I mean, we I think it was a year ago we interviewed James and Nikki when they moved from New Zealand to El Salvador, and they're living off of Lightning on a daily basis, and that was really cool to see. So, and this is something that people don't appreciate until they start to see the plumbing of Bitcoin. Is Swift transactions, can be 30%. If you can send $100 to someone, it still costs you $30. It's getting better, but it's still insane. Whereas, you can send millions and millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin for a couple of dollar fee. And with Lightning, it's pretty, I mean, the future is here when it comes to, the hurdles that we had in 2017 with Bitcoin. Oh, you can't use it at point of sale.
Yeah, I think I wasn't actually that impressed when I saw the Bolt card first off, because I assumed it was a Coin Corner only thing, and I thought, oh well, that's great. It's just communicating with Coin Corner's server. And then, when it became clear to me that this could be done in an open source way, I thought, wow, that's great, because we've met the legacy payment standard of tap and go on the Bitcoin Lightning Network. So it's great because that convenience of tapping and going is so useful for merchants, and merchants appreciate it because it's less faff at the till when they just want to make the sale and for the customer to pay, and then they can move on to the next customer kind of thing. And then that's the kind of the benefit you get from it. So it is actually quite an important thing so it's quite useful to have. Yeah, definitely.
I was at just an osteopath masseuse yesterday, and she runs a full-time business, and she's not even using the merchant FPOS card carriers because it's too expensive. She'll just give you her bank account details and trust that you're going to pay her.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? The kind of the fees that we have on the traditional payment networks, and they're only like that because they've had no competition. I mean, it's not like anybody else can set up a Visa or a MasterCard. So I think this is why it's so important, that we help facilitate additional payment rails for merchants, not least because of the resilience as well. So if the other networks go down for any reason, which sometimes they do, then you've still got another option to pay. But I think it's a big deal for merchants. I was talking to a bar in Queenstown who said that they could afford to employ another couple of full-time staff members on the amount of merchant services fees they pay annually. So that's huge. It is a busy bar, but it's just it's quite a lot of money that is taken by these legacy payment networks. And so, I think given that you can use the Lightning Network really quickly and easily, albeit in a custodial fashion right now, there's no reason why, if I was a merchant who knew enough about it, I wouldn't be interested, but that's the problem, isn't it? Getting the merchants interested.
I have an important question. The bar you're talking about, is that the one where the food and the beer is delivered in those pipes, pneumatic pipes? Is that Christchurch?
That's Christchurch. I think it's called A1 or C1 in Christchurch.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's an old bank or post office. Yeah, the beers don't go up through there. Yeah, it's in Christchurch. I think it's called C1 in Christchurch. Yeah, you don't put beers in a pneumatic pump. How would it end up at the end? No, they put fries in there. So it's the old post office bank.
They put beers in there.
Messages. No, they don't.
Yeah, they do.
It's shake it all up, dude.
They do.
Okay. We'll figure it out.
I'll send you some video evidence. Okay. Yeah, it's amazing. I can't believe you haven't been there. You should check it out. So Bitcoin, we're replacing banks and Lightning Network, and we're replacing payment processors and that kind of stuff. What does that conversation look like when you just talked about a bar that could employ 2 other employees? Do they get it straight away, or do you have to convince them, hey, Lightning Network, fast, no fees, Like, how does that conversation go?
Yeah. I've had the conversation a few times with a few different people. Again, like Chris from Bridge to Bitcoin, he suggested when you go to pay at the till of a regular merchant, a good question to ask, kind of innocently, is just, do you accept Bitcoin? And just listen to what you hear back, and that's quite interesting in itself, because you get all kind of range of answers. You get everything from a flat no and kind of no discussion, or you get maybe sometimes a bit of intrigue, like, oh, can you do that? So, and then sometimes you get a good one I've heard typically with younger staff is no, but we should, or no, but we might, or and then one time I had it, I was in a pizza shop, and the guy said, yeah, the problem with accepting cryptocurrencies at point of sale is that they're too volatile. And I was like, wow, this guy's he's done some research. This is interesting. And yeah, I don't have an argument at the till. I just, as soon as they're saying, whatever they say, I just pay, and, I pay with my card, and then I'll have cash and then walk out. So it's quite interesting having those conversations, just to hear what it is that the sort of the thinking behind it, or the current state of the thinking behind it generally. So it's interesting. For the bars that I've talked, sorry.
It's Bitcoin inception.
I feel it's like a touch point. So it's completely out of the Overton window. And then if you sort of ask about it, it kind of just, it's like that's a thing that could happen, because this guy's obviously ready to pay if we accept it, I guess. Just like, so if we accepted it, he could pay with it. And I think it's like the question itself kind of says a lot, maybe. So, yeah.
And I mean, merchants that are accepting Visa and MasterCard, they're sometimes not getting the actual payment till 30 days, 60 days, the chargebacks and fees and all that sort of stuff. So it would be a no-brainer. But of course, there's that technical hurdle. It's like, well, yeah, I want to, but how do I do it? Or it's a hassle, or if only 1 in 100 customers is going to do it, then it's probably not worth it. So, yeah, these are the adoption pain points.
Yeah, you're right. I think the problems with the tax and the accounting, they can be mitigated to a certain extent. If the merchant themselves is orange-pilled, then they can buy the Bitcoin off the business at point of sale, and that's the easiest way, in that they put their own money into the business and they take the Bitcoin themselves, and they could see it as a kind of a dollar cost average, essentially, is one way. But the problem is that you need an orange-pilled merchant for that. And so without a kind of a coin corner-like solution in New Zealand yet, then that's the only way we can kind of get merchants on board, I feel. Yeah.
Okay, so someone listening to this, they're excited. They have some Bitcoin. They might even have played with Lightning. Do you want to run through us, how do they get started from start to finish, the Lightning node all the way up to getting a nice etched? Well, what kind of printing is on e-cards? Is it laser etched, or?
It's retransfer. So there's a few ways of printing on the cards, and the ones we do they're high quality, is all I'm going to say. But it's a very professional finish.
I've seen your Twitter. I've seen some amazing designs, like some Star Wars designs, and really intricate, fantastic designs. Yeah, really cool.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, we work with artists as well, so we give commissions. So artists can list their designs, their bulk cards on our website. Lena Seacher, I think that's how you pronounce her name. She does the little hodler cartoons, and so she's recently advertising her cards with us. So yeah, any designers who are listening and you want to make your own bulk card, just get in touch. We've got the design guidelines on the website. So full end-to-end setup. Well, I feel that the most important thing is to go from 0 to 1 is what I'd say. And so if a new merchant was interested, I wouldn't say set up your own node and do all this hardcore stuff in the background. I'd say, look, download Wallet Satoshi on your phone, and then click on the receive button, and then dial in $5, and then I'll send you some. And then that's how I would get anybody started with the Lightning Network. And then I would kind of cautiously at the same time say, this is a custodial service, and although you're receiving Bitcoin over the Lightning Network, Wallet Satoshi custodying them. So if you If you have a lot of Bitcoin, you'd want to withdraw them from Wallet Satoshi. And again, it's a bit longer than kind of here's everything end to end, because it leaves it open ended. But at least at that point, they're sort of Lightning Network enabled, if that makes sense. And then with that proviso, so once you have quite a lot of funds on Wallet Satoshi, you should save them to a cold storage wallet, a hardware wallet, or something like that. And then I think once you've played around the Lightning Network a bit, then you're like, okay, so the next level would probably be to use something a bit more custodial, like a Breeze or a Phoenix, which I know do use LSP or Lightning service providers in the background to make it non-custodial as much as possible. Although obviously it doesn't work without their back-end service, and there is a fee associated with that. And then the next step after that would probably be to, if you're a Bitcoin business, or you're really serious about accepting Bitcoin, then yes, to set up a node. And I'd suggest if you want to have a Lightning node that you control the management of, but you don't actually want to run the hardware yourself, then Voltage is a good option. And that's a guy who he does Lightning nodes as a service, and so I use his service. I find it very handy. So that would probably be the next way. Probably the last thing I would do is say, okay, right, set up a node on a computer in your house or something. That would be sort of, and that's kind of the maximum hodler sort of way of doing it. The full blown self custody, everything would be the far end. How does that sound to you guys? Do you think that's like a fair assessment?
No, I was just going to ask you, why would someone not do it? Is it just too tricky, or why would you advise against that?
I guess it's not that I'd advise against it as such. It wouldn't be the thing that I would start somebody new to the Lightning Network. I'd get them to do it in steps. And I feel that the custodial step is a way that you can use it without having to do any technical setup. And then each additional step adds more technical setup until you get to the full self-custody hardware solution, essentially.
It's similar to Bitcoin. Like if someone's starting out with Bitcoin, you don't get them to, set up a Linux server and set up a full node and all that kind of stuff first. It's like, no, just buy a little bit of Bitcoin, $5-10, whatever, store it on a mobile phone wallet. It's fine. You don't even need a cold storage device. And it's that sort of iterative, get your feet wet, you're not in the deep end yet, play with it. If you lose $5 in a transfer, doesn't really matter. That iterative approach, I think, is probably best.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Now, is there anything you want to shill? Is there something we haven't asked you? Is there anything you want to just plug?
That's a good question. I think I've plugged laserized cards quite heavily, so I appreciate that. No, I think other than if you're interested in learning about Bitcoin, and you're able to get to Queenstown, it'd be great. Sign up for my course at learnbitcoin.nz. We are, if you're a merchant who's interested in knowing how to accept Bitcoin as a merchant, then you can get in touch as well. I'm more than happy to help explain that. I've helped a few merchants accept Bitcoin now as well. So yeah, other than that, no, I think that's about it.
I'm doing a little bit of stalking on your website, which, by the way, is well designed too. You had a workshop recently, is that right? Or you've got a workshop recently? Got one?
Yes, I've got a workshop starting. That's a real good idea. I should probably say when the next one's starting. It's on the it's on the 11th, I think, of next month. So 11th of July. So is that right? I don't have it in front of me right now. I put them on as and when. So if you're interested and the time doesn't suit you, get in touch and let me know. More than happy to accommodate. I've done a few remote sessions as well. So if you're too far away, we can maybe sort something out. But other than that, let me know.
Oh, I'll do your plug for you. It's 11th of July. So you're right. Yep. So a few spaces left for that. Yeah, I like how you go from sort of what is Bitcoin right down to, secure cold storage and custodial stuff, which is kind of what we do for us as well. So we shouldn't have plugged that because we're competitors. No, just kidding.
No, that's all right. We're not competitors. No. We're
not.
Colleagues, I'd say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do people sign up for your course?
Just head across to bitcoinbasics.help and click on the workshop link, and you'll get the next workshop info.
Well, we should talk about how we consolidate these workshops and work together.
I'd be keen for that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially the online workshops. So yeah, for sure. And
I will have to come down to Queenstown soon, Rob.
Awesome. I'd be great to have you down here. Let me know.
Not cold enough for me. I like it when, I can't feel anything below my knees.
If you keep for a bit of skiing, I'll take you up. Sounds good.
All right. I have a unique style of skiing. I do it on my face.
Nice. Well, thanks again, Rob, for your time. I'll have all the links in the description of the show notes, but yeah, you can obviously head across to lasereyes.cards or learnbitcoin.nz. And we appreciate your time, and we'd like to catch up with you later and see how your project's going. And it's so exciting. A lot of people say there's not a lot happening on Bitcoin, which I don't even agree with. But even if that's true, there's so much happening in Lightning and all these layer 2 solutions, and super exciting. I think the last pain point for Bitcoin is that sort of merchant adoption acceptance of Bitcoin, and that's what you guys are tackling. So yeah, super exciting, and looking forward to see where it goes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for watching or listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share so we can spread this educational content to others like yourself. Visit bitcoinbasics.help.
Disclaimer. Any content provided by CoinCompass is for educational and informational purposes only and is not investment, legal, tax, or any other professional advice. A qualified professional should be consulted before making any financial decisions. CoinCompass will at times recommend certain products, services, and technologies, but these are opinions based upon our own or podcast guests' experience and not endorsements. We take no liability for out-of-date or inaccurate information, software bugs, manufacturing errors, technology misuse, or issues involving third parties. Visit coincompass.com for more information, and please contact us.